If you can't beat 'em, then you pop 'em. You can't man 'em, then you mop 'em. You can't stand 'em, then you drop 'em. You pop 'em, 'cause we pop 'em like over red and vodka. C3, okay, a millionaire. I'm a young money millionaire.
Good morning and welcome to the Daily Stack. Today we have Juline and Tim Kotzman from Bitcoin Treasuries Media. We have my co-host Avi Mash. Rob was just with us in the studio. Let's start out today. Avi,
I was going to say
historic Indiana win. Go Hoosiers! Tell us about it.
We are a football school officially now. So Indiana, we did the unthinkable last night and won, which is one of the coolest things. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Indiana was the most losing D1 school in history, and the turnaround has just been remarkable, to say the least. So got to pat myself on the back because I was playing, of course, in the games. That's always funny with fans, but yes, it feels cool to finally have a football school. So that's it.
Congrats. You got a quarterback coming up from Texas Tech who's going to fill those shoes and keep you guys going. It looks like way too early number one ranking.
Yeah, I agree. It's a TCU guy. Josh Hoover, I think is the QB, but his brother, so Mendoza, his brother, I don't know if you guys just saw, he's transferring out of Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was like, what about
short-lived celebration, and now he's on his way out. But yeah, so it's been fun. But happy to have you guys on today too. Exciting.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So Ed, we've been talking with you about several events, so we're going to dive into some of those. Tim, you're like the face of I think Bitcoin Treasury content and podcasts. You started that, and I think we had you on the end of 2024, so it's been a minute. Would love, for those of you that weren't turning into like Bitcoin Economy live stream at the time, what's the landscape like now? Like, what's been the last year? You're coming in 2026. We're starting fresh. We're starting light to the year with new mindset, strategies buying. What's your mindset? What's going through your head with you, leading the charge on all things Bitcoin Treasuries?
It's like a blinking contest to see if Ed's going to speak first or if I'm going to speak.
No, he asked you.
I guess that was directed to me. I mean, to quote Saylor, like 2025 was an incredible year. We just didn't have an all-time high on the last day of the year, So I think the fact, as you alluded to, that strategy is buying $1 billion and now it looks like $2 billion plus a week of Bitcoin, and you see this digital credit really scaling, and they, the analysis, the chatter on social media this morning is they need to keep stacking the MSTR sort of base Bitcoin as much as possible so they can also scale the digital credit. I mean, that's the story of the moment. And as you have strategy and the others, right, Strive and Metaplanet in the private market really starting to utilize these new instruments, I think it's going to at least eliminate a really brutal bear market, and maybe we'll have some upside, but I think it's too soon to tell.
At what point do you think this leverage Bitcoin play? You guys have been at the heart of this, right? With the Treasury conference, you guys had one of the best conferences in New York. So thanks again for having that. But what have you guys seen in talking to these companies? Are they, obviously they're feeling the heat from a stock price, but what's the mentality? Are they all as bullish long-term, still to this day as Saylor is, or are they starting, and you don't need to necessarily name names here, but are some of them rethinking, like, hey, we probably need some sort of an operational company in addition to this at some point? So curious, just kind of on the ground, if you're hearing from some of these CEOs, the stress levels.
Yeah, I think, at the Bitcoin for Corporations event at Strategy World in May, back in Orlando, the companies that were there were all early companies, right? They had started accumulating early. They all had various business plans, but I think just by being early, they had this safety net, this advantage over the other ones. And when Fong Li got on stage and said, I think there's going to be 700 by the end of the year, I remember we all said, how could there be 700? But then we went, holy crap, there's going to be 700 at this pace. Mm-hmm. And then we did our event in September, and then it was like, okay, the Strive thing and Semler, and we're like, oh yeah, this is going. But then our event just totally crashed with it. It was the full responsibility of Tim and I of why this all crashed. But I kind of saw it as I saw these different companies getting into the treasury space, and then the financing deals they were doing, and the underlying businesses and the names they were getting involved. And I was like, crap, we're going to have one bad actor here, one person that's going to screw this up, and it's going to look bad for the whole group. And it doesn't matter who that was, or if that was the trigger that caused it all to kind of come crashing down. But 99% of them, they have a business plan. They have a strategy that really the stock price doesn't really matter. They we're going to accumulate Bitcoin. We're going to keep this thing going. And if they made bad decisions in their initial setup and their initial financing and their initial whatever, they just have to adjust. I don't think there's, really been one that is absolutely dead. They just have to figure out a way to bounce back and recover. And then others are just pressing forward with their original business plan, and it's actually going well because they're accumulating more Bitcoin at a lower price.
I have to ask you guys about I think last week, the Saylor interview with Danny Knowles, host of What Bitcoin Did, and they both posted that it was got spicy there, and there's some disagreement, and he was pushing back on how Danny was framing the question: are there too many Bitcoin treasury companies? Obviously, I have to ask you about this. Like, what is your opinion? And one take on it was that Saylor wasn't attacking Danny; he was more so pushing back on the community as a whole, that Bitcoin maxis, everyone involved with the space, that seems to attack any weakness in the idea of corporates buying Bitcoin, and that is a lot of wasted energy when you should be celebrating that they're buying and adopting Bitcoin. Others felt different. Danny was like had some takes after, but would love how you interpreted that interaction.
You go first, Tim.
I mean, it reminds me of what Punter Jeff has said a few times, which is Danny kind of asked Jeff the same questions that he asked Saylor and maybe a few others in the treasury space. And it's like, all right, if you're going to keep asking the same questions, such as, are Bitcoin treasury companies doomed? Are they dead? It's just that's a little bit of a disingenuous question after people are trying to explain it to you for at least a few months in a row. So, I mean, I can see the pushback and the irritation there of at least try to be inquisitive. And I mean, also all good, because if you get 300,000 impressions instead of 100,000 impressions, that's kind of good for the space too, right? Some of these personalities that, get a bunch of views on social media, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. And we were in Miami when this was going on. So this was actually, the topic that everybody wanted to talk about. And I just saw it from a slightly different angle, having worked for Saylor and, knowing all the interviews and talking and he has to do. And, did he reach a breaking point? I don't know. I'm actually curious if he set Danny up, and, because he invited him into his house. So it's maybe he actually knew that that's where it was going to go and he was ready for it. Personally, I just kind of felt like, the way Danny poked him was, I don't know, a more experienced professional journalist might have found a different way of doing it, that didn't seem so passive aggressive, but that's my personal opinion as an older Bitcoiner, maybe.
Yeah, it was definitely talked about. And yeah, Tim, I agree. It's when 50 Cent and Kanye West went to war with each other. They were actually friendly, I think, at the time, and they made a fake thing to I'm not saying that happened here, but it was it did get more impressions because of that, I think, and people were sharing that. So certainly interesting. So just looking at the price of Bitcoin, we did dip now under 90 for the first time, it feels like, for a while. But to your earlier point, you look back a year or two, you'd be happy in this spot. So just curious to see where you guys see 2026. We've heard price predictions from everyone out there saying 150, 200,000. Now we're, dipping below 90. Curious where you guys see 2026, if that's going to pop back up over 100, or are we kind of doomed for 2026?
Yeah, let me just make a point of clarification real quick. I'm not Tim Kotzman. That's Tim Kotzman. I'm Ed Juline, that name over there.
We do.
This is Tim. That's Tim. Oh, Jesus.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
For all the OCD out there.
Much easier. Yeah.
No, I'd be honored and proud to be Tim Kotzman, but you know what? I've been in this a while, and I went up in 17, down in 18, up in 21, down in 22. I was such a convinced cycle guy this last year that I was actually having ChatGPT help me with a book saying this time can't be different, right? It has to go through cycles. And it's like, okay, we didn't do the cycle. So what's my excuse for it? For the first time, you're seeing real institutional, heavy grade TradFi tools and games being played with Bitcoin, the asset. And so that in itself is a very positive indication that some of these Wall Street games that get played with gold and silver and pork bellies and Microsoft stock or whatever are now being played with Bitcoin. That in itself is like, cool, we've arrived. We look at how much Bitcoin Strategy is buying every month, and it's like 10 times the amount that's mined. And it's like, well, how could this be? What's going on? I get on a call with an OG, and he's like, yeah, all the OG whales are, rotating their Bitcoin and keeping the price down on purpose so that they can then spot trade it on a 2-day thing. And okay, great. But what I always come back to is the code hasn't changed. The math hasn't changed. Sound money hasn't changed, right? And so eventually everything's going to be okay. If I was a gold bug, I would be looking at these websites showing all the shuttered gold mines that are coming back online, and the gold glut that's going to happen in the next 12 months, right? It's just going to be a flood of gold.
Yeah.
If it was Tesla stock, I'd be going, wait a minute, you've got all these Chinese electric car makers. And if it was NVIDIA, it's like, well, the AI models don't need all these. But nothing has changed about Bitcoin. And so they want to play all these games, and Wall Street wants to do all this stuff. It's like, go ahead, play all you want. You're going to run out of time, and it's going to catch up with you. And whether that is a gradual super cycle or a mega candles, you get to the point after you've been in Bitcoin long enough, you don't care. You just like, it's going to happen. Just be ready for it when it does.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point too, just on the gold and silver has been on a crazy run. I know Jody had a nice trade on silver earlier this year, but do you think some of that money is like, inherently people have this liquidity? It can go to something or it can go to Bitcoin, right? I think a lot of that money potentially could also be tied up from people pushing towards some of these metals. So once they rotate back into Bitcoin, that's another thing that I've been thinking about, is just that a lot of the money's been with the precious metals right now. So
yeah. I mean, does it make sense that silver is worth how much more? Wait, 5 times it was last year? What's the number, Jody? 10 times? I don't know.
It's crazy. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff about we need more silver for these, AI chips, batteries, whatever. Okay, that kind of stuff happens. When was it? Earlier this century, like early 2000s, there was this mad rush on tantalum. I don't even know what tantalum is or what it does, but the money people made on tantalum while there was this mad rush for tantalum. But then all of a sudden they find all this tantalum. You got tantalum everywhere. Every cell phone maker's got all the tantalum they want. The price stabilizes. So is this all speculative, what's going on with silver and gold? Or is there really demand for silver and gold? Not sure.
Yeah. It's also, I think there's so much leverage in the market right now that I think a lot of what we're seeing in the Bitcoin price is they're not just going to let it run from we've talked about like the 94 level is big, but it's not going to go parabolic, I think, in the 1 day 10K candles like it used to. I think there's too many big players involved. And like anytime you have institutions, they're not going to let you run that far if you have, a huge swath of people 40x leverage, 50x leverage. And that didn't exist in prior cycles. There was no like perp markets, on Bitcoin and people trading, with this much leverage.
Give me 1 second, Jody. Grok, remind me in 2 months to check if Jody was right or wrong. Thank you. I just
if we have a 10K daily candle, I would happily be wrong about that one. All right. So on the daily stack, we look at stacks, typically pancakes, but with you guys, let's look at the stack you have up for the digital conference tomorrow. So Andrew Webley, we had him on the show. We met him in person in Hong Kong. Fantastic guy. Would love to, who the rest of these people? Tell us about them. Get us excited. We know James Seifert. We've had Dan Hillary on.
Freddie too.
Yeah, Freddie as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of them. Talk to us about who you have lined up tomorrow.
You want to take that, Tim, or me?
We can go back and forth. So we're going to kick off with Andrew Webley of Smarter Web, and they have just quite the community. We also just announced a Bitcoin Treasuries Unconference UK in partnership with the Smarter Web company. So we might get to some of those details later as well. You want to take Joe Bryan?
That's May 29th in Bristol, UK. Very limited seating in the venue. It's like 400 or something. So that one's going to be fantastic. Yeah, Joe Bryan is the guy who made a video for his friends called "What's the Problem?" The big red button, and it just blew up. I mean, I saw it, and Saylor reposted it, and then I helped him get it even more distributed, and now he's got it in like 60 languages. If you haven't seen "What's the Problem," the video by Joe Bryan, you should. And Joe Bryan's he's the only one in the whole Bitcoin space with a more soothing voice than Tim Kotzman.
Or Ben Workman.
Yeah, those three.
Yeah, Ben's is good.
James Seifert from Bloomberg. Always interesting to see what his view when it comes to the charts, the flows, everything that he's seeing from an institutional analyst standpoint. Freddie knew. I took your advice, Ed. I was doing some research on Freddie, but I'm sure you can kind of give more background than I can on Freddie.
Yeah, no, Freddie's just done a lot for legislation in the UK. I don't think they call it legislation, but was I can't remember the name of the organization in the UK, that the Bitcoin Policy Institute or something like that. Yeah, and then he's now part of the BHODL team, Treasury company in the UK as well.
Dan Hillary,
you had Dan on the, or you sat down with Travis. Recently, in Dan's new company he's advising.
Yeah, so it was super cool to meet their team and be able to sit down with Travis. And I mean, that's kind of where I think this is all going, is if Bitcoin is digital capital, and then you have these, we just talked about on the hurdle rate that came out this morning, what I'm calling digital equities. Right now, they're just equities, but what happens when they start trading 24 hours a day on, whatever rails? Then you can take these, the next step, digital credit instruments or digital money instruments, and just like pass them back and forth. I think that's going to be kind of the next level of, so he goes like digital capital, digital equities, digital credit, and then digital money. We could spend the whole hour just unpacking those topics.
And we went to dinner with Dan in Miami last week, and when he told me how old he is, which I won't dox him, I was just blown away. He is an absolute prodigy, for his age. I mean, I would have thought he was 10 years older, the way he presents himself and holds himself. It's just unbelievable how smart that guy is. Then we're going to do a preview for our Bitcoin Treasuries Emerging Markets Investor Day that we're doing in New York on February 20th. The Africa Bitcoin Corporation asked us to put something together in New York, and we said, well, let's get a whole bunch of treasury companies from the emerging markets together. So we've got Arcadia B from Mexico, we've got Melius from Brazil, and we have DV8 from Thailand, and all of them will be presenting. And then we've also got Jan 3, Samson Mouse, that'll be doing a presentation about what they're doing. I think I've got someone from HRF. So it's just a cool little investor day in New York City with accredited investors to hear about these Bitcoin treasury companies in emerging markets and see what they're all about. So as you're editing that, we're going to have to go back to my copy to see here. Get Tim back on track. Sorry, Curtis. No problem.
That's our everyday. Ed's like, make sure you're getting the right link for the X link. No, the Luma link for the X link. The X link for the Luma link on X. Like, okay, got it.
It's impossible to keep up.
We're all good.
Tell them about Curtis and Giga.
Curtis and Giga, they're a private company, and they just have a monster operating business. I won't say too much, but very, very attractive margins, and I think they're going to be. It's going to be a really interesting story once they make it to the public markets. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, window and door company, and they've been just their whole executive team and board is just all Bitcoiners, and they said, why aren't we doing this as a company? So they're setting themselves up for what's probably going to be just a massive IPO. Evan Horowitz.
We were just hanging out with Evan, and
we were hanging out with him, and he came. We did a food and drink tour in Amsterdam. It was 15 people. Tim and I did this, and Evan was with us, and he didn't really talk much about what he was doing. But then we get down to Miami, and we learned more about his story. So he has the X handle 420, right? That's his. He's got 420, and he had a dispensary, cannabis business in California. Got rid of all that and just put it all into this treasury company called Farmhouse, and it's publicly traded. And man, he is just a hodler, man. He is putting together all this Bitcoin, and he's a very interesting, entertaining story. So you're going to love hearing that story. And then we'll wrap up with Zinks, who's just a really great ex-celebrity who is a non, but we'll have him on, just no camera. And he's just always got some great posts about the treasury space in general. And so we do these once a month, try and bring some voices on, 21-minute interviews, and keep everybody up to date what's going on with different people. And they're working out pretty good. We're getting good viewership and good listening, and the post digital conference content is getting a lot of views as well.
It is interesting. I was thinking is a DDC with Norma too. She's got like an interesting background with like cooking. Is there any other ones that no one's heard of? Obviously everyone's familiar with like Strategy, Metaplanet now at this point, but what are some like the undiscovered ones that not a lot of people may be talking about, but are interesting that you've found in your conversations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wild that Strive and Strategy are the only two Bitcoin treasury companies in the world that have preferred products. I mean, that's how early we are. And I guess we can always kind of say things like that. If, at the end of the year, there's only a dozen companies in the world that have preferred products. But yeah, I mean, Strive has the most podcasters per share, right? That's their claim to fame.
Easily. Yeah.
So that, and then, everyone else is kind of, maybe they are doing some media, but not as much as Strategy and Strive. And I mean, even Metaplanet, Dylan and Simon are out there, but they're not really constantly out there. So it's interesting to me. I don't know what the reality is of like retail versus institutional, and how much of a difference does it make to really have like a consistent voice out there week in and week out. I'm sure it makes a difference. How much? I don't know how you would really quantify that. So
are you able to leak anything about the cooking show, or?
There's going to be a cooking show coming up, but I don't know that we're supposed to be, doxing it quite yet, but there's going to be some more.
We got the exclusive here.
High quality video content coming out as the year progresses. Nothing as exciting though as the conference that we are announcing today in Topeka, Kansas.
No, we're not doing Topeka. Don't get me in trouble, Tim. Yeah, I mean, there's one late add to that schedule for the digital conference tomorrow. We're going to have Scott Ellum and Richard Byworth from XCE on. They'll be kind of in the middle there, and then Dan Hillary's moving down. But Scott is kind of a longtime Bitcoiner in the UK, and he's has this recruiting business in the UK that generates revenue, and they're going to accumulate Bitcoin. They're traded stock on Aquis, that secondary market in the UK. Adam Back and Richard Byworth are both investors, so Scott's going to be joining us tomorrow. This is something, even when I was at Strategy, we were like saying, hey, let's put together a framework for how do we define these companies. And we got up to 24 different criteria and just said, this isn't doable. There was no way to relate all these different ways of defining these companies to their success or anything. I mean, I said this publicly many times. You asked me what the biggest treasury company in the world is, a Bitcoin treasury company, and I think it's Tesla, because they're the biggest company with a Bitcoin treasury. Okay, so what about the biggest Bitcoin only treasury company? Oh, okay, well, Strategy. And it gets into this whole discussion. Does the underlying business really matter? It should. I mean, having that cash flow, but I mean, when you look at the Strategy cash flow compared to their Bitcoin now, it's irrelevant, right? It's just this tiny number. So I'm not sure what really makes one of these companies successful or not. I mean, I think when you have Dylan LeClaire's hair, that can't hurt, right? Yeah. That's going to help you when he walks into a room in Japan.
It's built for like an anime comic, just like with like
yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. It's the underlying business, it's the financial strength, it's the the social media presence, it's the community, it's so many things, and so nobody has a perfect solution yet. But we get calls from weird ones, and they're like, hey, we want to do a treasury company based on a vitamin by mail company, and I'm like, oh my god, why is this going to work? They're tough questions.
Well, and from an investor, I was just gonna say, from an investor standpoint too, it's like how many. I just think through this of like, what's so exciting about some of that company you just mentioned versus like if you're gonna put money with a treasury company, wouldn't you want to kind of go with Strategy or Metaplanet? You're kind of looking at the top ones, but is that, I guess, is there more opportunity cost of capital that you can get with some of these smaller ones still?
I mean, every one of them. I mean, like that one I just mentioned is in Portugal. And so with Portugal, if you put 200,000 into a Portuguese stock, you now get a golden visa. I'm like, lean into that. Yeah. I don't care about your vitamin business. I really don't care too much about the Bitcoin treasury thing, as long as you don't screw it up. If I can take 200,000 of Bitcoin and flip it over to your stock, which is basically just a leveraged Bitcoin play, and I get an EU passport, that's your selling point. I'm like, no, that's not cool. Our selling point. Our vitamins is our selling point. And I'm like, yeah, good luck.
I agree with that if you guys are listening.
Yeah. So
talked to Katie and Anina from Citizens X, and that was one of the top picks we had on Mount Rushmore. I mean, obviously Portugal is going to be always a top pick. Amazing place to go. Cost of living is great, but to be able to strategically get that type of passport through investing in Bitcoin and staying exposed, absolutely, that has to be the most compelling argument.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm shilling it too much, but I'm the Bitcoin strategy advisor for Arcadia B, this one in Mexico, where we've got an underlying Bitcoin services business that we're building. As we go out to the Mexican investor market and saying, hey, invest in this Bitcoin treasury company, then what's a Bitcoin treasury company? Well, it's an intelligently leveraged way to accumulate Bitcoin in the balance sheet. Oh, what's Bitcoin? I'm like, oh, Jesus, it comes back to Jeff Walton saying, 1 in 1,000 people understand Bitcoin and 1 in 1,000 Bitcoiners understand treasury plays. It's very complex. And so is there a play for a Bitcoin treasury company in Burkina Faso? Probably not, because they don't have a stock market. They don't have a lot of capital sitting there. But in a country like Mexico, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're the first in Mexico, great. If you're the 17th in the US, you're probably still in a better position than the first in Mexico, maybe.
Mm-hmm. You spoke earlier, and I wanted to just bring up that it seems like with Elon Musk, he's recently mentioned at the end of last year around Bitcoin being tied to energy. And so he's starting to get the fundamentals of it. I think also that with his Doge experience, he became disillusioned even farther than he maybe was with nothing stops this train. The debt's going to keep rising. I can't, as an engineer, fix money. And I think I can't promise. I don't know the timeline of Tesla making a bigger move in this place, but we've talked about on the show like last week, the week before with Problem Sniper. Tesla's going to be like a $3 trillion, $4 trillion company, in the next like 3 to 4 years, if they make a stronger play into Bitcoin. With Elon saying, "Look, I'm tired of fiat. It's the farthest thing from a well-run, engineering, minded regime." Do you think, Ed, if you're bullish on Tesla, do you think this is possible?
If I'm bullish on Tesla, I don't even know what Tesla does. I mean, Tesla's not an auto company. They're a software company. Making cars is easy, actually. That's been proven by the Chinese here. They've built a whole auto industry in like 6 months. Yeah. And so it's a software company. Okay, what are they doing software for? Well, for energy and robots and AI chips and everything. So, I think the bigger question is, putting this back to you guys, is GameStop a Bitcoin treasury company? Is Steak and Shake a Bitcoin treasury company? At what point, if Apple bought $10 in Bitcoin, are they now a Bitcoin treasury company? If they bought 10 billion in Bitcoin, are they a Bitcoin treasury company? What does this mean? How do we define a Bitcoin company? Alex Leishman from River has made it very clear that, he doesn't want to do the treasury play, but he's got tons of Bitcoin on his balance sheet. He's just not going to go do the financing side of it. And so the whole definition thing is getting really confusing. So us as Bitcoin treasuries, we accept all.
Open.
Wait, what do you guys think? And touch on that.
You brought up a good point too. I mean, 10 billion is a drop in the bucket for Apple, right? So it's like, that is an interest. I don't know if I have the answer for it. I think
eventually it'll be like, the products, right? Like if you have like SATA, coming from Strive as this, digital credit, this preferred instrument, you're raising capital. I think, any unique product that's, released financial product solely for the purpose of buying Bitcoin, but we're not going to.
What does Jeff call those, Tim? He calls them balance sheet companies.
Correct.
I think that's the phrase he uses. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think they're calls them balance sheet companies, right? So Are you only a Bitcoin treasury company if you're a balance sheet company, or can you be a GameStop or Tesla?
I think Bitcoiners would claim Apple. I'm just thinking about this more. If they bought $10, Bitcoiners would love that news. Just hearing about any amount coming on there. I'm curious too. I was going to ask, and I don't know if you guys are able to share. If you do know, but like Figma was interesting. They had, they went public and they had Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So I'm curious how many private companies that are close to IPO are secretly holding Bitcoin, but we just don't know because it's not, public necessarily.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. We run into them. We run into them at our events. At our unconference back in September, there were the public ones. They're easy to spot, but then there were so many of them there that were like, "Hey, I have a what was the guy that would he have an asphalt company in Kansas City?" And I'm like, "Okay, great. Can you tell me about how many Bitcoin?" "Well, I can't really tell you, but it's 150. I'm like, that's a good amount of Bitcoin on your balance sheet as an asphalt company in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, there are thousands. If I had to just pull a number out of my ass, I'd do like, there's probably 20 private ones for every one public one.
That's the interesting thing to think about is if there were 400 people at the conference in September and you see shots in the audience of people that because they're visible in the Bitcoin industry. Well, for every person that you didn't recognize who they were, right, they weren't there because they're not interested, right? Like they're probably somebody. So it's just an interesting little math exercise.
Yeah, and it's something like Ed, you're talking about with hotel prices in New York. It could be a $10,000 trip. So you have to be buying in size, or it has to be meaningful enough to your business to be able to justify that. So these people are able to buy 10, 100 Bitcoin much easier than
no. And I mean, you just look at our viewership numbers for our digital conferences and our space. I mean, they can't all be investors, right? I mean, they are. There's a lot of investors that are coming on wanting to learn what the next treasury company is. That was one of the comments that I got at the end of our September event was a few people came up and they said, "Hey, thanks for having this event. I've adjusted my portfolio while I was sitting here at this event." And I'm like, holy crap. They're sitting there buying one and selling the other. But that there's just tons of private businesses where they're like, hey, we're tired of our ice cube melting. We're tired of, having our wealth disappear. We want to protect it. Doctors, so many doctors. A guy named Stuart Lackey in Nashville is trying to put together this network of medical professionals. You only have to explain Bitcoin to doctors once, and they're like, yeah, my money.
Yeah, down in at Strategy World. I'm forgetting his name, but we met this radiologist. Yeah, he was awesome, and he was telling us, he's like, I don't want to be known for being a famous doctor. Like I think he was like a well-known doctor, and he's like, I don't want to even be known for that. I want to be known for orange pilling as many people as possible, and he's gonna like write a book about it. And so that was really interesting, and that was like some of the coolest things. You do meet these people that you're like, oh, I didn't realize you have way more Bitcoin than I do, and you're not even in the space. So it's always interesting to talk to those types of folks. So
yeah, more athletes too, right? I mean, Saquon Barkley and Russell Okung, and I mean these athletes are getting it. They're like, why am I going to throw my money away on a restaurant or a whatever? It's like I can just put it into Bitcoin.
Yeah. All right. So you're talking about cooking show. We're not going to press you on it, but we did have Henry Herbert, the Bitcoin chef, on the show. Love talking to him. Just a great guy. Big Smarter Web community member. Very active in their chat and in Bitcoiner. So he's putting on these dinners. He did one for Smarter Web Company in the UK, and it's just a great community building. For those that follow the Bitcoin space in general, but also those
what was the name?
Henry Herbert.
Henry Herbert.
Bitcoin chef. This is on his feed. And so on Henry's feed, he's hyping you guys up. He's hyping up the Smarter Web event and the digital conference in Bristol.
Oh, there we go. I see at the very top, the Bitcoin chef. Okay, so we gotta introduce Bitcoin chef to DDC, Tim. That'll be a great guy to get on.
Yeah. So he's so awesome guy. So wanted to link this here. If you're in the UK, I actually might be in the UK at that time, so I'm going to try to get some tickets as well, leading up to BTC Prague, which we're planning on. But
well, if you want to, if you can pull up another browser window and pull up
buy a ticket live, Jody.
I know. Luma. Let me see how we can do this. Is it here? I can.
The only thing better than giving away free tickets is buying a ticket live. That's
we bought a book with our last guest live.
Well, you know what I did? This is funny. It's like when the price dropped below 100,000, I put out there. I said, "Hey, until we get back to 100K, the tickets for our unconference in September are half off." And I thought it would be a few days, a week, something, and now it's been quite a while. Here, Jody, I'm putting it in the chat here. You can pull up this link right here, and that'll show. But so you can still get 50% off tickets on our unconference next September. I think the coupon code is 100K party, 100K party. But there we go. So this is on Luma, where you can find all of our events. Thanks for letting us shamelessly plug these. But if you scroll down a little bit,
where we at?
We're not.
True North side event.
Okay, so you got our digital conference, and we're doing a inside event at Strategy World with True North. I don't know if your window's not maximizing there, Jody, but it's kind of showing it cut off. Is there there we go. So we got a True North Inside event that we're doing at Strategy Bitcoin for Corporations. Should we go ahead and front run?
Let's front run.
Okay. So, we work very closely with Pete Rizzo, BitcoinTreasuries.net, with you guys, with True North, with Bitcoin Quant, with One Chair Podcast. And so all of us together are putting on front run the Bitcoin Treasuries pre-party, and that'll be on the Sunday before the Bitcoin conference in Vegas. And if you go ahead and click on that one for a second, maybe we can, there we go. So at the Circa Hotel in Vegas, they've got this place called Stadium Swim, and it's got all those big screens and the hot tubs. Those aren't pools, those are hot tubs. But we're taking over the upper deck. So there'll be, I think, 500 total tickets. So for $210, you're getting food, drink, partying with other Bitcoin Treasuries enthusiasts. If you scroll down on that page, you'll find where you can buy the 21 rates ticket. Let's see, just to show them. Here we go.
Right here.
Buy the 21 rates ticket. You're free to buy the Tim Kotzman ticket, but I would buy the 21 rates ticket.
Tim.
And then we'll make sure that all the profits from the event are distributed to these fantastic media partners. But yeah, this is an event you don't want to miss. Is Front Run. There may even be a juggler. What else are we having, Tim? A giraffe?
There's going to be some special guests.
Lots of special guests. Yeah, until you've seen Saylor and a Speedo, man.
I'm going for the giraffe. If there's not a giraffe, I'm going to be very disappointed now.
Yeah, no, we're going to do some fun games. There's a girl named Anuja who does travel with Bitcoin, and so she's going to make sure that it's a very entertaining afternoon. Hopefully, some hangovers going into the first day of the Bitcoin conference on Monday. But Front Run, the Bitcoin Treasuries pre-party. Get your ticket, because once we hit 500, we can't put any more people there. You can find this on Luma. And then go.
And that should actually go quick compared to how many attendees are at the actual conference. I mean, last year it was 35,000 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you already bought your flight getting in Sunday night, you're going to have to get in Sunday morning and come straight there. We'll have some kind of baggage check or not, and throw on your swimsuit, and it'll be all the people in Bitcoin Treasuries you've ever wanted to and not wanted to talk to. It's going to be just a blast, absolute blast.
And the conference 1 month earlier this year, so instead of
Yeah.
like late May, typically for the big Bitcoin conference, it's in April, which is probably very good for Las Vegas.
Yeah. No, this one's going to be good. If you go back maybe one or two back to the list. There we go. Then in May in Madrid, we're going to be co-producing the Mad Bitcoin Summit. It's a real first large Bitcoin event in Spain. Aldana is the one in charge of that, and she is just a firestorm of energy and passion about Bitcoin. So if you need an excuse to go to Madrid in May, you probably don't have a real reason for living. Madrid in May is just one of the most beautiful places on earth. The food is fantastic. That one's going to be one of our best events of the year. Mm-hmm. The Bitcoin Treasuries on Conference UK in Bristol that Smarter Web is helping us put on. And then we've got the one in August in Bodø, Norway, that we haven't formally announced yet. But if you need a reason to go to the Arctic Circle in August, we'll be doing one way up in the top of Norway. The Norwegian Bitcoin community is incredible. It's just fantastic. 6 million people. 5 million people. It's less than the 6 million in El Salvador. But we just confirmed HODLNOT yesterday. We've got Tord Bjorn of K33. We just got Sander from H100. So you're just going to have a lot of Scandinavians there, and it's just phenomenal how many famous Bitcoiners there are in Norway.
I had to put this up. It was before my son was born. Can you see this? Is this big enough?
Yeah.
So we did our little baby moon in Norway in a phenomenal trip. And Bodø has this amazing floating sauna. I wasn't able to do it, but I want to go back.
We're taking that over. Yeah. And then Bodø also has their soccer team, which won the Norwegian league, is in the Champions League. And right now, actually, as soon as I get off this, they are playing Manchester City in the Champions League at home in a stadium that holds like 7,000. Wow. So we're hoping that Bodø Glint is going to have a match the same day as the conference, so we can all squeeze into the stadium and watch this local team. But Bodø is phenomenal. They've told me that we are not allowed to actually hunt the bald eagles, that you just have to observe them. But I've heard they're delicious. And then for now, September, the unconference Tim and I haven't decided for sure, but it'll probably be at Levon again. And we'll just kill it there. We'll do a fabulous production and find a way to keep the noise down on the networking side. But we're real excited about doing that again.
Yeah,
that doesn't
add to that real quick. I went last year, and I think I emailed you right after saying it was like one of the coolest conferences I've been to. So I definitely encourage you guys to do that round, like the circle around the speakers, which is really cool. And it was like awesome that the crowd got to engage. It didn't feel like they were being spoken to. It was like very engaging
Yeah.
for people in the audience.
No, thank you very much. Well, we'll have twice as many cameras. We'll have drones. It's
Giraffes,
jugglers. Yeah, the whole
And
thing. Balloon animals.
We were chilling, but I do want to point out that I think with just the rise of remote work, people are craving just more in-person interaction. I think the communities online, too many people are, these PFPs that you have no idea who it is. They have laser eyes, so you're like, oh, this person likes Bitcoin, but it could be, a bot farm in Laos that is actually like the one responding to,
having worked at the Bitcoin conference, and then I was in charge of the one for strategy. I just really felt like it needs to be a show, right? You need to entertain. You put 3 people up there on a panel that all say, I agree with the previous speaker. That's not entertaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to have great content and content that people are going to get excited about and remember. And then you've just got to have a great venue and allow people to connect. I mean, the simplest thing that we did was we gave people different colored lanyards based on whether they were a treasury company, an investor, or whatever. And it was like an icebreaker, because you go to conferences and you're like squinting to see people's badges. And it's like, no, man, help people connect. We had 3 people wandering in the crowd that you probably didn't even notice. All they were doing was going up and meeting and saying, you need to meet this person. You need to meet this person. They were just connecting people all day long. And then of course we had the Emmy Award-winning Adrian Pruitt from One Big Party putting on just one of the best visual presentations of an event that anybody's seen.
Yeah.
And Tim Kotzman.
I thought the intro was sick that Adrian did.
Oh, did you see our latest video that we just did?
No, where's it at?
Oh, go to either Tim or Bitcoin Treasuries Media, and he did one over the weekend for us that I still got goosebumps on my leg. You got goosebumps, didn't you, Tim?
Is it?
Yeah, I have it. Yep, it's right there. Yep.
What if you can unmute it? Yeah, now go back to the start. And maximize.
Yeah, full screen it.
Full screen this thing.
God, I got goosebumps again.
Yeah, good enough, Adrian.
Run it back.
Let's do this. Let's keep the plan.
We'll just repeat the whole day.
Yeah.
Two
We got
hours.
an intro, Avi. We're just gonna run that.
Yeah.
2 hours of our 30-second video. Yeah, if you ever need video production, One Big Party, Adrian Pruitt, he's the place
awesome.
to go.
He's the man.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Joe, do you want to wrap it up here? I think we got another guest popping in here shortly.
Yeah.
But wasn't sure if you wanted the closing statements. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, so we're gonna link the Luma in our Twitter thread right here where the live is on Daily Stack HQ, Bitcoin Treasuries Media, Ed Juline, Tim Kotzman. So look out for, if you're going to Strategy World, look out for the True North event. Tomorrow, be looking out for the digital conference. Join in on that. That's going to be the first one you have going. I'm super stoked on, potentially, because I'll be in the UK going to the Bristol one. So I'm going to check out that. Bodø, Norway sounds amazing. Just like use this as an excuse to go take a trip. Any last words from you guys before you have your big rundown tomorrow?
You just gave me an idea for another one. We're going to do a Bitcoin Treasuries Epcot around the world drinking tour.
Ooh,
Sounds fun. Bring your kids.
You ever done that?
Nah.
my sister has. She hypes it up. She said,
I've done it 9 times. I've only finished it once, and it was with an Irish guy. Anyways, no, thank you for having us. You guys are doing fantastic work. Like Tim and I always say, there really is no competition in this space. I mean, the pie is growing so fast that each one of our pieces grows. So whatever we can do to help each other and, just get more transparent, honest journalism and reporting and talking about this stuff out there, because the FTXs and the Celsius and stuff, they just kill us. And we've got to do whatever we can to try to keep people honest, right? And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We're excited to do I know. Ed, this gives him, he's up all night. 21 events in 2026
We're
You
at
got
7
balloons on that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
how did you do balloons, Tim?
I don't
That's
know.
a new thing.
21 events.
Maybe there's
There
your
it is.
now fireworks. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, he's got it down.
It's the Mac, man. If you do that on Mac, the camera does it automatically. We
That's
can't figure out the confetti. Try this. Maybe confetti. No. Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you, guys. And we'll look forward to seeing you at our events. And front run. It's gonna be a race here to see who sells the most tickets for that. But hopefully, your audience will jump on there and buy a 21 rates ticket, and we'll get everybody together for a big party before Vegas.
Let's do it. Let's go Hoosiers.
Let's go.
How many days till the next season?
I don't know. This is like my first season. I'm like checking out the transfer portal guys. And I'm like, all Indiana fans are just like now huge Indiana fans.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now the Indiana basketball coach is like, wait, what about me?
Yeah. Exactly. Big game tonight for Michigan. Indiana, Michigan. So.
Oh no! Now we get to hear about basketball.
Yeah, exactly. So. All
Thanks,
right, see you guys.
All right, so we will take a quick break, 5 minutes, get a little coffee, and we'll be back shortly. Avi, do you have anything to say?
No. Enjoy. Stick around, guys. We'll be back. Who's the next guest? We got
Sanjay from Predyx.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting.
Bitcoin prediction markets. So stay Bitcoin centric, Bitcoin the bear asset, hyper Bitcoinization, but you're playing with prediction markets. So we think it's super fascinating.
Cool.
Yes, who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 Na 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 na. I've created a monster, 'cause nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady, I'm chopped liver. Well, if you want Shady, this is what I give you. A little bit of me mixed with some hard liquor. Some vodka that'll jumpstart my heart quicker than a shock when I get shot at the hospital by the doctor when I'm not cooperating. When I'm rocking the table while he's operating. Hey, you waited this long to stop debating, 'cause I'm back, I'm on the. I know that you got a job, Miss Cheney, but your husband's heart problems complicating, so the FCC won't let me be. Or let me be me, so let me see. They try to shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me. So come on, dip, bum on your lips, jump back, jiggle the hip, and wiggle a bit, and get ready, 'cause this is about to get heavy. I just settled all my lawsuits, F you, Debbie. Now this look like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. This look like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. Little hellions kids feeling rebellious, embarrassed. Their parents still listen to Elvis. They start feeling like prisoners, helpless, till someone comes along on a mission and yells, bitch. A visionary vision is scary. Could start a revolution, polluting the airwaves, a rebel. So just let me revel and bask in the fact that I got everyone kissing my ass. And it's a disaster, such a catastrophe for you to see so damn much of my ass. You asked for me, well I'm back. Na 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 na. Fix your bend antenna, tune it in, and then I'm gonna enter it up under your nails like a splinter. The center of attention, back for the winter. I'm interested in the best thing since wrestling, investing in your kids' ears and nesting, testing. Attention, please feel the tension. Soon as someone mentions me, here's my 10 cents. My 2 cents is free, a nuisance. Who sent you sent for me? Now this looks like a job for me. So everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy. Cause it feels so empty without me. This looks like a job for me. So everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy. Cause it feels so empty without me. A tisket, a tasket, I go tit for tat with anybody who's talking this and that. Chris Kirkpatrick, you can get your ass kicked worse than them little Limp Bizkit bastards. And Moby, you could get stomped by Obi. You 36-year-old bald-headed me, you don't know me, you're too old, let go, it's over. Nobody listens to techno. Now let's go, just give me the signal. I'll be there with a whole list full of new insults. I've been dope, suspenseful with a pencil ever since Prince turned himself into a symbol. But sometimes, man, it just seems everybody only wants to discuss me. So this must mean I'm disgusting, but it's just me, I'm just obscene. Yeah. Though I'm not the first king of controversy, I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley to do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy. Hey. There's a concept that works, 20 million other white rappers emerge, but no matter how many fish in the sea, it'll be so empty without me. Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. This looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. La 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 kids. Yes. Go, shorty, it's your birthday. Yeah. Yeah. You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. Look, mommy, I got the X if you're into taking drugs. I'm into having sex, I ain't into...
And we're back on.
We're back on. Sanjay, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Very good, very good.
Where are you calling in from?
San Diego.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, nice and sunny, like 72 outside.
I don't know how you
complain.
I don't know how you guys do work out there. That's my retirement spot, I'm thinking. At some
It's
point.
difficult, man. Like here, I live by the beach actually, so it's more difficult for me. Every time I go down, it's like, why am I in the house working? I should be out there, right? So it's like a hidden, like it's like a very, very difficult. So but I'm happy you're not here. Trust me, because you would just not be able to work, man. Like if you're a normal human being, just not possible. I think so.
It's a cheat code being winter because it's like you have nothing else to do, so you have to like continue working and, and being focused. So Sanjay, really happy to like have you on today. So for the audience, Sanjay created the first Bitcoin prediction market, Predyx, and we're super excited because every other prediction market we've encountered is stable coin based, it's USDC, which is on Ethereum or Solana or some other Polygon, I think is what Polymarket's on. But as Bitcoiners, we want to have something that where Bitcoin is the medium of exchange. We love giving away sats. Every Friday we do the daily stack or the Friday stack where we're giving away sats. It's great to have people using sats and Bitcoin directly. So before we get too deep into Predyx, I want to start out with what's your Bitcoin story? Like, how'd you get into Bitcoin? And number two, rise of prediction markets. What made you think, hey, this is what I want to work on, and I want to inject Bitcoin into it so that everyone's working on a better money standard?
Sure, yeah. I think I got into Bitcoin early 2014. The reason I got into was not because of Bitcoin, because I wanted to buy some other coin, right? So for that, you had to buy some Bitcoin, and that's, and then you would trade that with some other coin. But then once I started realizing what Bitcoin is, right? Like initially, that's how you get into. So anyways, long story short, I got so deep into it, I started mining like Ethereum and other things in my condo. That's how I got into crypto or Bitcoin per se. Then somehow my condo mining operation just grew so big that I had to expand. So I moved to Mexico to start a big mining farm. And so that's how I got into Bitcoin. So the long story, so it's not that I really wanted, but once you realize you burn yourself in all the cryptos and things like that, you understand the value of Bitcoin. You have a realization sometimes. I don't know. I think when did I have it? Like probably 2015. Like, no, this is it. Bitcoin is the number one coin. Everything else is just, pump and dump. So that's how it all started. I was also, I think, a part of the initial fork when we're talking about all the forks, Bitcoin Cash and things like that. Big proponent of Bitcoin at that time. But anyways, that's my story. So finally, my mining farm crashed. 2018, the price crashed. I think all the people who are mining went out of business. I went out of business as well. So I was kind of depressed. What do I do next? So looking for something else to do. Then I started sports betting on Lightning around 2020 or 2019. Then I realized sports betting was great, but somehow Bitcoiners don't like that thing. It's not for us, right? Plus, the guilt of, man, I shouldn't be running this business. It's like a bad business to be in. It was great to try it out because Lightning works so fast. And then I found out about predictions market, 2020. I think early poly market. I was like kind of brewing into it, but it was too tough or difficult for me to build it. Finally, I found some cool people, my partners, and then we got into it. And since then, yeah, we are here. So I don't know if the story is good or bad, but this is what it is.
Sure.
Right.
No, it's very cool. And so Jody mentioned you guys are going to be Bitcoin. You guys are Bitcoin only. And while Kalshi and Poly Market have massive budgets behind them, people see them on TV. There's commercials and whatnot. You guys are doing it slightly different too. So from like a user standpoint, it's deposit. I'm taking notes here. Deposit, trade, withdraw models is kind of like the traditional model. You guys, can you talk a little bit about how you are doing this quote streamed betting though, where it's more in like real time with Lightning Network?
Sure. Yeah. So I think we are the first predictions market in the world that has enabled pay per trade. So in every other model, right? Because the payment rates are so slow, it doesn't matter fiat or any other coin or on chain. It takes at least 10 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes for the coin to move to the exchange, right? So with Lightning, you're able to actually, I think Lightning is the first technology in the world that allows for microtransaction, right? Initially, microtransactions, I mean, everyone tried it, but the cost of sending and receiving any kind of monetary, instrument is very high in the traditional model, right? So this enabled this. This is why I think I was talking to someone from Geyser, and he was the one who kind of persuaded me into doing this. Initially we were trying to build a market where you have all the trades put in a bet slip, and then you buy all at once. And he was the one who persuaded me that, hey, you don't have to do that. Lightning is something different, right? You just pay per trade because you could just pay like 20 sats or 10 sats and things like that. So this allowed us to open up somehow I got convinced, that we can do it differently. And that's how I think we are able to do a real-time paper trade, no deposit required, instant settlement. Like if someone sells, the sats are moved to the wallet directly using LN address. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. And regarding sign up and things like that, so with Lightning, it's pretty easy to sign up, right? Like anonymous, all you have to do is take a wallet, scan it, and then you're in, and then you can make your first bet within like 20 seconds, right?
Let's pause on that for a second, because I think that is a very critical thing that a lot of the Bitcoin audience is going to resonate with is, concerns over KYC, and people at the beginning when Bitcoiners are pushing back on KYC were saying, oh, like why do you need to remain anonymous? Why do you need to, not have your identity shown? Are you trading on the dark web? Is it like the Silk Road? But really, you don't want, to be like flagged in your credit score as potential risk because you're a high risk gambler because you made a single $100 bet on, $100 like event contract. And that can easily happen if everything's on chain and everyone knows exactly what you're doing at all times. But the cool thing about, when I signed up for Predyx was that I didn't go through a big KYC process. It wasn't painful. You didn't ask me for a bunch of information. You said, hey, sign up, create a user account, go save your credentials, probably do 2FA if you want to be secure, and then connect your Lightning wallet, which I could create a new one if I needed to. I could use an existing Lightning wallet. Our friends at Rhino have a great wallet system that we use. They are a sponsor, so shout out to Rhino. But beyond that, I think is a really good experience. And also the reason why is I think people need to value privacy going forward. AI is going to make it where they can dig through data so fast that they're going to connect the dots on everything and find out who you are and what you've been betting on and then deem you as a risk if you don't value privacy.
Yes, absolutely. I think Lightning, obviously it's a feature of Lightning, but with the predictions market too, right? So you don't really want people to know what you're trading on. Like it's very, it doesn't have to be like really sensitive information, right? Because it's ultimately you have some information, some valuable information that you want to leverage. So especially with predictions market, you really don't want to know unless you want to tell people about it. But because since you have that valuable information, it just makes perfect sense to use Lightning. With Lightning, there's no tracking. No tracking means there's no way to, track back where exactly that payment came from. You could be a pseudonymous or something like that, create a nickname and things like that. So that helps a lot. Plus, I never thought about those things, like people flag you because you bet $100 here and there. That's a good thing to know. It's like, man, that's really bad. Like if someone just wants to bet, $100 in a Bitcoin price, just in case, it's a fun bet, right? It's not a gambling thing, just a fun bet. And someone's credit score gets flagged because of that. That's really bad. I mean, so I think, that I didn't think about it, but that's a great use case to have.
Yeah, if you use, if you try to get life insurance, right? They're like, oh, will you be cave diving in the future? Will you be flying in the future? Like, is there anything that we're gonna certainly not approve your claim or just not approve, you to even issue you life insurance? So it already exists. So it's not even like a conspiracy. Right. I think they would do it to your financial credit score too if you seem like someone that's like.
I looked it up. I didn't know that was a thing. So I'm screwed.
It's similar to like buying a red car, right? Yeah. So if you buy a red car, if you have a red Ferrari, you're the high risk guy.
Yeah.
Something very similar. Yeah, I get it.
Have you seen? It's a lot of like retailers are coming on. Like we were joking around, and maybe not so funny to joke about, but like Greenland, the U.S. taking over Greenland, or like there's all these different prediction markets that are out there. Have you seen like institutions at all use it as a hedging mechanism at all for if they're in let's say an oil business and they, are people using these prediction markets at scale? Like if you're a Bitcoin treasury company, for instance.
See, we are very small at this point of time, so probably we don't see much of institutions here, but we do have companies interested. But at the larger predictions market, I definitely think it's a great hedging tool. So, for example, I don't know if you saw that Ray Dalio's interview with the Indian guy. I forgot who it was. It was a podcast. That's where he clearly mentioned that predictions market are a great way to hedge, right? For example, let's say very simple example, right? I create a market. Will my house catch a fire? Simple market, right? And I bet on yes, because for some, right? An insurance company or someone comes in and it's like, hey, you know what? I don't think he's a good guy. He's a responsible guy. I think I can take all his money, right? So yes, if you see that perspective, right? So I think insurance-wise, hedging-wise, just same thing. Let me give you a simple example. Bitcoin, for example, let's say I have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I bought at 90K, right? If the Bitcoin price goes to $65,000, which a lot of people are talking about, what I would do, I was bet on, that yes, it would go to $65,000, right? So that if it does go, I can make double my money. So I can, if I had some losses from my Bitcoin, I can actually make profit in the long term because of hedging, right? So it's a great hedging tool, provided it's used wisely, right? I mean, hedging means requires discipline. You can't be impulsive. You have to have clear numbers and data. So yeah, it's a great hedging tool. We could do it for anything. I think you could hedge for. I think very soon, the whole insurance industry will move to predictions market. You'll have these people like these insurance companies creating bets for all of you, right? For all of us. Right? For example, will I get into a car accident, right? Or whatever it is. So that small, tiny market. The insurance company knows your risk for some reason, right? And accordingly, they would bet against you, yes, whatever, no, depending on how much risk you can take, right? Or how much of a bad or good driver you are. So that's my, thoughts, right?
So we'll have to go ahead and let's pull up some markets.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's pull up the website here.
All right. Let's go even bigger screen for this guy. Okay, so speaking on hedging, so this is, I think, a good one. Bitcoin under 120 in 2026. So as we start to pick up, and right now it's a 50% chance, but I think a lot of it is based on mentality and momentum. So if we start running past 105, 107, 110, and it's getting close to mid-year, then it's a good idea to maybe hedge. Okay, now that the percentage chance is much higher, people are saying it's 85% that we're going to hit 120. It's guaranteed. It's locked in. It was written in stone. That's when you need to start looking at putting in a hedge to say, oh, like we could have a crash in the year. We could have the AI bubble pop. What other kind of markets are people using to would you say hedge against the downside of Bitcoin?
Yeah, so let's see. In fact, let's talk about the upside, right? Like then we get a downside. So here, for example, simple example, 120. The Bitcoin is 90K right now. If you buy Bitcoin, you are spending $90,000. And obviously, when you're buying, you don't think that it's going to go down, right? People typically tend to buy because they think it's going to go up in the longer term. However, if Bitcoin hits 120, you buy at 50% odd, you double your money, right? So if you bought at 90K true Bitcoin, you only made $30,000. If you predicted, you double your money. So you make $180,000, right? So that's the upside of it. Now there are markets here, if you scroll down, something like 85K, right? Or 80K. So for example, 80K in January, right? So if you see that market, now, like hedging, for example, you bought a 90K and you want to be risk adverse. Like if it goes to 80K, I don't want to lose money. I want to have my, similar holding of Bitcoin or same amount of Bitcoin holding. What I would do is I would bet on yes on 80K, right? Is to hedge. So hedging is typically the risk averse. So whenever things go down, you try to make sure your asset is not devalued at the same rate that the value went down at, right?
Yeah.
So 80K would be a great hedge. We even have bets for 65K in 2025. And for some reason, if you think it's going to go to that low, the odds are very, very low, right? Like 10%. So you would 9x your money. So for example, if Bitcoin went to 65,000, you would or 10x your money. So like you put $10,000, you can make $100,000 if it goes down, right? So that way you keep your Bitcoin intact. You use the precious market to hedge whatever, or go long. When you go long, you still make double the money. If you hedge, you maybe make 3 or 4, maybe 5 times the money. So it's overall, I think precious market will probably, I don't know, my personal take is I think it's going to take away all the financial trading. All right. If you do it the right way, you don't have to really buy stocks. I mean, I wouldn't say people should not buy Bitcoin. Yes, you should, because it's it's self custody and things like that. But if you just want to trade, or if you're a day trader, why day trade on a normal exchange than day trade on predictions market, right? Where you have much upside. Day trading, you make 2%, 3%. Here, you could make 50%.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I brought up before is how many times have you been directionally right that a company will hit earnings, and so that's what I like about prediction markets. You could say Nvidia is going to beat earnings, or they're going to, but then afterwards the call may, go south, or for any reason they're saying next quarter is not going to do as well. Your premium is getting sucked out like crazy. So if that happens, right? And so this is what's cool about this is you can just make it a lot more simple to say yes, Apple's going to beat earnings, very binary in that sense. So I think, it is really cool way to trade the markets in a different perspective.
Yeah. Previously, if you're buying options, most people, understand, directionally, I am bullish this, so I want to buy call options, or I, want to buy puts on this particular stock. But they don't understand the Greeks, the gammas, the rows, what happens with theta decay as the option gets closer to expiry. This really tough stuff. We've talked to Problem Sniper about that. You can be right directionally, but wrong on timing and the premiums associated with them. Tesla options are really rich, and that's why we talked about last week. He doesn't play Tesla options. He's well, how am I supposed to make money if the premium is already really, really high? I'll just buy spot and sell covered calls, or I'm going to do cash secured puts if I think it's going to dip and buy more. But absolutely, with prediction markets, you make a good point, Sanjay. It's easier for the average investor to understand the factors involved. You can see how it's moving with sentiment. You can see with events how it spikes and drops, but you're not worried about a bunch of Greeks and Black-Scholes method of valuing options pricing. And the other thing to think about it too is we've talked about it at our Bitcoin meetups is, if you are someone that is active, wants to manage their own money, control their finances, absolutely hold self-custody Bitcoin, but take a very small percentage and then use that to trade, just so you scratch the itch, and then you leave everything else in cold storage. So don't go out and spend, 10%, maybe 1% you can go out and you can trade with, but that should be where you learn your lessons on a very, very small amount of your portfolio. This is not financial advice, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely, if you notice, most of our markets are micro markets, and people could bet few cents, right? So I think people, if you want to start using predictions market, a lot of people come in, they're emotional, they go all in. I've seen a lot of people like that, right? They come, they'll just bet $100 or $200. And that's basically a stupid way of doing things, honestly, in my opinion, because the reason is there's odds, right? So you have to understand with the demand and supply. So each time you're buying more shares, the price goes up, dynamically up, right? Cumulatively up. So a smart trader would try and make his trades very, very less, but high frequency, right? So each time it goes down, you buy a little bit. Each time someone will come and someone will make the odds go up. So a smart trader, kind of is patient, does that in a very methodical way. There's some discipline there. Emotional traders, the same thing happens everywhere, I guess. They tend to lose, or they tend to make mistakes, right?
How does one go about, like, do you need to start, let's say I want to say Bitcoin to 300,000 in January, right? Like, how do you do you need to have a few people like vote on it and say, okay, like there's going to be enough volume for this prediction market, or can anyone spin anything up?
I mean, yes, anyone can spin anything up. So there's no, anyone can spin any market they wanted to. But again, market making is also an art, right? There's no science involved. There's some science involved, but it's mostly art. So you have to basically think what the people are thinking, right? So you have to get a general view. Like, for example, if I just create a market today, hey, Bitcoin is going to 500,000 in 2026, that would be the most stupidest market, right? Because a lot of people don't think, yes, it could go, there's a possibility, but, it will not get a lot of traction because everyone would go to the no side, right? There'll be hardly any yes bets. So you want to create a market that has kind of equal yes and no probability or something similar, right? It's achievable, but not very easily achievable. That's how, but yes, if you wanted to create any kind of market, Bitcoin's going to go to like 300,000 in January. Yes, it's possible to do it.
Right. You want to think of it almost like how they do it with the sports books, right? There's like a line for a game because, let's say a team is heavily favored.
Yeah.
It's going to skew that direction, right? So you want to try to make it as central as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. It's because ultimately when you create markets, right, or these markets, the way you earn as a creator or as a market maker, the way you make your money is by transaction fee. You could trade obviously against your traders, but that's not what a lot of people do, right? They just create markets. So the best motivation, in my personal opinion, is to figure out what market will have the maximum volume of trading both ways, yes and no, as volatile as possible, right? For example, we just created a market last night on 85K. The 80K market, if you notice, it's just going like no, right? Like no one is trading on it because everyone knows probably it will not go to 80K. But 85K, there's always a chance. So you, I don't know. I hope I answered your questions, right?
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. I mean, there's so much that goes into creating one of these markets that you don't think about, like the oracle behind your machine. I don't know how that works from like a third party. Is that you're getting the data feeds to come in to prove that, you'll see it a lot of times in sports betting. If you do like a player prop, for example, like it may not close out if someone has, gets 40 yards and they need to hit 40 yards. DraftKings will hold it in pending in case there's like a stat correction, for example, right? So some of these are more binary, like will, Greenland be taken over by the US or, things like that. But how do you guys do it on your back end without sharing all the secret sauce? But how do you make sure that the data is correct?
Sure. Yeah. It depends, right? So on the markets like Bitcoin price and things like that, we have not automated it yet. But you can easily plug in any API from any exchange, like for example, whatever your source of truth is. For us, our source of truth is Coinbase. And the moment the API hits that price, you kind of lock that market or pause the trading. However, for sports market, we do have it, but we have disabled it for now. Most of our sports market, it's all automated. We have an API. So we don't have props betting yet, but we do have, like head to head if someone wins or loses. So those markets are automated. So definitely at this point of time, most of our Oracle is done kind of manually. We'll probably automate all the Bitcoin and sports market at some point of time. But the reason we do it manually is like we verify, we make sure it's with automation. Sometimes there are bugs, things could go wrong and things like that, right? Could get resolved other ways. So because of being early, that's what we do. So our Oracle system is right now just us. But at some point of time, we'll be introducing like a 2 or 3 kind of multi-sig architecture, right? For example, if a creator creates a market, and then when it's time to resolve the market, so a creator can vote to resolve yes or no, or whatever they can, express their opinion. Then a person from Predyx can verify. But even so basically there has to be there will be a third party as well, a third party like independent party, which we have a trusted source of people that whom you trust. Probably they're also part of your market. So when you have this 2 or 3 voting system, typically the resolution happens pretty honestly, right? Unlike Polymarket, or I don't want to say anything about Polymarket, they're great people, obviously, but in the past we have seen some UMA resolution being wrong. Not sure if it is the UMA problem or there's something else going on, but we have noticed that there were some resolution that went wrong, right? And I think the reason is because they have too many resolvers, right? Whereas Kalshi has only one resolver, so they have official resolver. It doesn't matter whether you say yes or no, but it is them who decides whether it's going to get resolved or not. So I think we're trying to take a middle path. Not Polymarket is great because it's totally decentralized. Kalshi is totally centralized. You want to take a middle path, that's how we're going to do it. So,
So for those that are looking to build their own prediction market, is that one of the challenging pieces? Is all these one-offs, because you're covering such any potential event, and you get these complexities and one-offs of the resolving process of okay, what actually happened in the age of misinformation? We've talked about a ton, and a lot of Bitcoiners have their eyes open to, is how do you know it's truth?
Yes, that's a big question. I think everyone is asking, right? The way we have tackled that is we try to create a very, very clear resolution criteria, right? For example, which source of truth do you want to believe in? So some people would believe in Reuters or AP, Associated Press, and things like that. Some people would believe in the official documentation. For example, I don't know, Bitcoin is very easy to resolve, right? Let's take something more complex. For example, elections, right? So elections sometimes, for example, there was some election somewhere in Venezuela or I forgot, but some Latin American country, which market got resolved wrong and on the Polymarket. And it is not the Polymarket's problem, because the resolution criteria clearly mentioned that you will go with the credible media reporting, right? And they had AP, Associated Press, as their credible media reporting. That media reported that person won the election and they resolved it. However, people, were slightly, I don't know, were thinking that person exactly did not win, because so with elections, either you can have the election board, right? The federal election board and things like that. There's an official board of electoral, things and governance.
Yeah.
You could have that as a source, or you could have a media as a source. So for us, we try to make it both, right? Credible media plus the certification from your election agency or something like that, right? So as long as you define the criteria very, very clearly, number one. Number two, you never rush into it, right? So you can just close the market, pause the market. You could wait for a week to resolve while you wait for the information to come in. That sometimes kind of backfires as well, because people want early payouts. But I think in our opinion, that's the best thing to do. Maybe we are too small. I guess it works for us.
How much is it going off the election piece too? Because I remember Polymarket was famous essentially because they called Trump winning, before any other traditional poll did. So, curious, and it was not too long ago where Bitcoin wasn't, on CNBC. Now Bitcoin's listed constantly, right? Do you foresee next election that Polymarket and these prediction markets are going to be, yours as well, are going to be front and center of tracking versus traditional, polls?
For sure, yes, absolutely. Because with polls, there's nothing to lose, right? You could just say whatever it is you wanted to. What you could give your opinion. Poll is just something about the voting with no skin in the game, right? So anytime you are voting on something without a skin in the game, you could just do whatever you wanted to. No one. There's no financial punishment for it, right? So prediction market is a financial. If you're wrong, there's a financial punishment. You lose your money, right? Either you lose your value or you lose your money, right? Simple. So you better be right, or else there's no there's no just saying just because I'm emotional, I vote for this. I like this party or this person, and I will just poll yes because fine you do it in predictions market, you lose your money. Simple, right? So I think when you have skin in the game, the truth just comes out, right? Just comes out. So, in my personal opinion, moving forward for the rest of our probably lifetime, right? The polls would have zero value at some point of time. The predictions market will have the maximum value because there's still skin in the game. There is
devil's advocate. Could like a billionaire come in and gamify it? So if they want a specific person to like get on the map, now everyone's talking about such and such, politicians taking the lead that no one ever heard of, and now their names all over the news, right?
Sure.
So that could be another way.
It is gaming, but at the same time, not everyone is fool, right? I mean, one person is smart, there's smarter people than him too, right?
Yeah.
So if someone comes to rig the market, there are people waiting for those people, right? Who knows who's going to win? What they have a lot of information. They could be a part of, I don't know, some politics, something like that. They have their own insight. They have their own data. They'll take your money, right? I mean, so it's easy to rig, but since now prediction market has gone so mainstream, it's just not easy to rig it anymore. I think so, right?
Yeah. Well, we saw with Venezuela, wasn't it Venezuela that it looked like an insider probably put like $50,000 or something, a decent amount of money behind the euro being captured like the day before, which was pretty fascinating. And these prediction markets love it. They say like, we want insider trading. That shows, the truth will come out. So
the US,
I think
2026 is 39%. I didn't know that was on the table like that heavy.
What is it?
US strikes Mexico in 2026 right here.
Oh wow.
From left. I didn't think we'd get that aggressive, but they do have the biggest silver production in the world, so maybe it's on the table.
Interesting. Yes.
I think it was more drug cartels, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you why. So even we had this market at Maduro, right? So we had something else. We had U.S. strikes Venezuela. We started getting bets way early, even though we are very tiny markets. But I think most probably because we have traders from Venezuela and that part of the world, right? So they probably received early information or had something going on, right? So we were seeing those suddenly high bets come in. But obviously, people from US or from this side would just bet it no, because they thought that there's some stupid, guy is trying to put his money. But we started seeing those, signals. So somehow, I think, it doesn't matter how big or small or money market you are. The signals come in they start coming in early. You can see the frequency. You can see the unusual activity, right? U.S. strikes Mexico. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't happen. I live by the border, right? And but I think there's a strong chance because I think there are a lot of people who believe in that. I don't know why, but that's what the market speaks. Right? I have no personal bets there, so.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, we're living in this whole new world, right? Where you can now predict. I mean, some of them are nerve-wracking. If you're an individual, it's like, well, such and such finished their term. It's like if someone was malicious, they could make something happen to now. Like it does get a big moral question on some of these, but it's
sketchy. Yeah. We try to avoid any death markets, right? And that is ethically. No one should do that, in my personal opinion. However, there are some cases. For example, there was a case last year. This is Brazilian president, right? Lula. So Lula was basically he was very sick. He was hospitalized a couple of times. And then people wanted to create bets whether he's going to live or not. Not because someone's going to kill him, because is his health good enough? To gauge health, to gauge someone's, especially health, I think it's a great market, but if you're trying to create some kind of assassination market, that's no, unethical, not human at all, right?
Right. No, it is fascinating.
So with that, like, I guess, yeah, how do you guys, you want to have unfettered capitalism, you want it to be very decentralized, but is that where you have a core of like, hey, this is where we think ethics come in. We don't want to be the platform that is, you're taking that on, because it is, you don't want to be responsible or your name in the news just because of that, even though it wasn't you that created the market.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you know, but a lot of markets, there's also a gray market or the black market and prediction market, which goes around, especially, I think, I don't want to mention the countries and things like that. It's been happening. It's been there for the last 100 years, actually. There's a market. So those markets, they bet or whatever. It's not a predictions market. It's like a traditional betting market. So it's been always happening. Not that it's right or wrong. Or it's definitely wrong. But yes, we don't want to get involved, or I don't think so. Anyone, Kalshi or Polymarket or any of them, because we're just running a business, right? We want to gain the truth. We're not here to create problems in people's life. You're not here to create any kind of political instability, or you get my just a fun way of. But I would say that we should just do hedging and things like that, make it fun market, but some people use it for serious stuff. So
I'm curious how you guys handle, like, I don't know if you guys have like market makers in there, but how do you get like liquidity? Because if there's low volume in a stock, you can move it with a couple $1,000, you can potentially move it. So how do you avoid? Because I think there was a fat finger with Polymarket, if I remember, it was like $3 million. Someone bet on Trump, and he did it all. He did a market order and he did it all at once, and so he was effectively just burning his cash because there wasn't enough volume on the other side.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we had the same risk at this point of time. So what we've done is we mitigated that risk by we have a prompt or some kind of warning. Anytime you move the odds more than 30%, we give you a warning that, hey, do you really want to do this? Or if you know something, that's a different story. But at least you get a second prompt that, are you sure you want to do this? This is not that's one. Number two is we use at this point of time we use AMM, automated market maker algo. It's on LMSR. So LMSR is not great for liquidity, dynamic liquidity. So the liquidity kind of remains constant throughout the market life cycle. It's a great way to bootstrap a market. However, we will be introducing CLOB. CLOB is like a centralized order book, or CDA, continuous double auction. That's where you get the market makers have maximum liquidity with a lot of limit orders. So hopefully we should release that probably in end of Q1, maybe early Q2. But yeah, it's in our pipeline. We already started building it. I think that would solve major liquidity problem, because everyone kind of waits for these people, right? Like, who wants to bet a lot? So they would always create like a buy order at the extreme end.
Yeah. That makes sense. So Sanjay, I have to ask you, since you started Predyx, what have been the top markets that you see? Not by volume, but you just said, like, it took you back and you're like, oh, this is funny, or you were surprised that people would even create that, and the fact that like some gained traction and became trending to the top page, even though it's way out there. Like a lot of these I see, I never would have thought, like Mexico.
Conor McGregor fight at the White House is good. Like 62% chance. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, like something like this. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I have no idea either. Well, I mean, I don't have much of it, but I have a few markets from Rob. I don't know if you know Rob Hamilton. I think he's pretty popular in the Bitcoin community. There was like fork war going on between Knots and Core, right? So he created this market, still there. This one, the will reduce fork. What is that? Reduce data. You see that? Yeah. Click on that, please. Yeah. So that market, out of nowhere, Rob created it. we didn't even realize he created whatever. And then, and in fact, that market broke our system. So it broke Predyx because there was so much volume on the first day itself, or the frequency of trading, right?
Yeah.
We were still in beta. We didn't know. We were not prepared for this amount of traffic. And because of this market, we had to like within a week reshuffle, re-architect everything, and make it performant enough. So this market out of nowhere, in fact, this market has the highest volume at this point of time, as compared to all the markets. I think the reason this market became very popular was because at that particular point of time, people were very anxious about is core the right whatever core and knots. People still fight over it, but like for us, we don't care. We'll run anything, right? We don't have an opinion. We just want to run a proper Bitcoin node, but people have opinion on it. So these are the markets, and what else? Yeah, I mean, this is one of the markets that's kind of struck out. The other markets too. I don't know if I can think of any concrete example.
I think this is a good example. Like just while we're here, is if you're a Bitcoin prediction market, it really shows cater to your niche first. Of let's create some markets that only someone that is in Bitcoin and would care about knots versus core and have a strong opinion about, because then they jump in and people want answers of like, okay, what is it trending? What is sentiment trending towards? So it's cool that like you brought out people to care, about this, because it's the number one market for what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any social elements you guys have considered to like create, I don't know, like a Yahoo message board, like underneath where people can like talk shit, or is it intentionally no like comments and social element?
No, we do have actually people. Yeah, so we have both. We do have comment systems, so people comment a lot. But people just comment. Like if you say in this market, if you go down, you'll see a lot of very funny comments. If you scroll down on the main site, further down, there is a lot of comment going on there. Yes, right. So people, talking,
you can
whatever.
Tip people.
And you can tip people too. So
that'd be a cool. I don't know. You don't get anything if you create the market, right? There's not like a 0.01% or something.
No, you do. So as when you create a market, you actually get to keep all the trading fees.
Crazy.
What we do, so any trading fee that you make from the market's all yours. However, at this point of time, not a lot of creators get enough volume to make profit because your liquidity can only be gained back from your trading fees, but it's all yours to keep. If you can get enough trading volume, you could make profit out of it. We charge a very minimal, like 1 sat per transaction fee for each transaction that comes in. And we charge 5% of your fees collected as a platform fee, which probably would go down at some point. Right now it's kind of up because we just have to, I don't know why we made 5%, but at some point in time, maybe we make it 2 or 3%, maybe 1%. So if you're a good creator, you get to keep all the money from the fees. And if you're a good commenter, if you like to comment a lot, probably you can make a lot of money, getting good tips or whatever it is, like 100 sats. It's not a good, but it's enough, right?
Keep stacking. That's the whole show.
Right. Yeah.
So with this, is it where the thought process, you want to go in and create a market and you say, hey, great, I have this like trending item that is going to be contentious, and I think there's going to be a lot of volume here. But if you create the market, then there's a capital cost of having to, almost be the liquidity provider at the beginning. Like you probably want to put up some of your own capital to get it started, meaning that there is risk that you are taking, by being the first liquidity provider to get your market to be the one that's like the biggest one for knots and versus core, versus like, say, Avi creates one against me. If I put up like $1 million on both sides as liquidity, that's going to probably take off way faster than Avi's.
Yes. You take the risk. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have to, even in the normal cloud markets too, right? You can't just have an empty order book.
Yeah.
So you have to have some buy orders on each side just to provide enough liquidity. So
I
that's
have
a
a
risk
good
people
one.
take.
We're gonna launch the first ones. I didn't see the color of the Gatorade for the Super Bowl. We should
Oh,
nail that one.
That would
all right, Avi, I'll hold you to this. We'll both launch one by next week. So
All right.
Predyx markets, we'll both create them, and then by next Tuesday.
Deal.
awesome.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one though. That would be a great market actually.
Right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Gatorade.
I'm the king creator here of Predyx soon. So very cool. Very cool. No, it's a fascinating. We're actually bringing someone on tomorrow. So we do the daily stack, right? And tomorrow we have I'm blanking on his first name now. But he's gonna be coming on, and he's like an expert. He created calcinomics. So it'll be like really interesting that he comes from actuary background. So like some of the predictions, it's purely just data and math. So that will be interesting. And then we're also bringing some cannabis folks tomorrow as well. So we're going to be digging into some cannabis stocks in addition. But Sanjay, anything else that you'd want to share that you're super excited about? What's next for Predyx and where you guys are headed?
I think this week we might have a big news. We might, I don't want to disclose the wallet name yet, but we'll probably be inside a different wallet. So as an in-app, not yet, but I don't want to disclose the name yet unless everything is finalized. That could be big. And yeah, that's it, I guess. And what I'm most excited about is introducing the club markets or CDA markets, working hard on it. But thank you for the time. Appreciate your having me here. Thank you so much.
If people want to check it out, it's Predyx.com. So Predyx. And you guys, it's currently in beta. When do you guys have a timeline for the official big launch at all, or?
Probably somewhere, in March.
Okay.
February, March.
Very cool.
Cool. So if you're a Bitcoiner, which if you're listening to the Daily Stack, you likely are, go out, support Predyx, help them grow. They're, Sanjay's getting on. He's talking about it, some of the challenges they've been through, but we want to support Bitcoin businesses. And I think Lightning actually works. That's a cool thing, is like, it's good to show people Lightning works as a payout. It doesn't have to be stable coins. And then also just going back to the privacy piece, I think that's really cool to be able to use, Predyx without going through a deep KYC process. So Sanjay, really appreciate it. And then, Avi, go get your market ready for next week.
Yeah. About to eat some Thai food, so I'm excited about that.
Is it Pad CU or is it Pad Thai? That's a market.
I go Pad Ki Mao, drunken noodles.
Wow.
That's my go-to. So now, Sanjay, thanks so much for coming on. Everyone that's listening, make sure to tune in tomorrow and every single day, starting at 12:30 Eastern. We are the Daily Stack, and we are out. And go Hoosiers! One last time, we won last night, so it's very exciting. Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sanjay.